Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, I hope you're doing well. Today you join me in a 2013 Nissan Leaf. This is the first generation but a later version of the first generation. So we've got the nice dark interior etc in here, but it's still the original 37 kilowatt hour battery. And my question for today is it worth buying a first generation Nissan Leaf in 2023? So a really good thing about the Nissan Leafs, the first generation, is they were like the affordable entry vehicle into the EV world at their time, and they still are really. This car on our forecourt is around about $6,000 to $6,500, but if you were to shop around, you probably could get one for as low as $4,000, maybe with higher mileage. This one's on about $40,000 on a 2013, and it's a fairly well equipped one. Considering the way the EV market is currently, we're probably going to be selling this for $6,000 or maybe just under. For that level of money, you do get quite a nice interior. It's Nissan, so it's reminiscent of very many other things, but you do have a nice infotainment screen. Even if it does feel a little bit dated these days, you've got your reverse camera, your sat nav, your Bluetooth, all those sorts of things that help it feel like it's still up to date, even if they do feel a little dated. You've got your speedo and kind of driving rewards monitor at the top of the dashboard, a bit like it's a Honda Civic Type R or something. Lots of switches, lots of trip computer information, etc. And it comes with this very typically Nissan kind of teddy bear cloth that is actually supremely comfortable. It's not the prettiest of cars from the outside. It's a bit Humpty Dumpty, a bit of an egg on wheels, but again, it's not offensive, it's not bad at all if you're not hugely fussed about cars or car design and you want something that's electric, practical and very usable. Then the Leaf definitely ticks those boxes. Driving and performance wise, well, it is actually incredibly comfortable in here. It really is a cushiony ride. It kind of soaks up the road. You feel a bit wallowy, it's a bit barge-like, but for your everyday driving around, as long as you're not trying to race this thing, which why would you, it's actually really comfortable. It's like super practical with its 5 doors, big boot. You can hop in it, go and do your shopping, kind of throw it around without worrying about it too much, and you're not bouncing around and getting your teeth jotted out. It's super comfortable. Performance wise, well, as you'd expect, there's loads of torque, which makes this quite a fun kind of entry into EVs. We're going along at just over 30 miles an hour now, and if I put my foot down, we're going to feel a huge surge of torque straight off the button. I don't know how well that will show, but we are up and doing 60 now. So it doesn't take long at all. It really picks up, and that is the great thing about electric vehicles. Almost no matter what speed you're doing, you put your foot down, you get an instant surge of torque, which really helps it feel fast, and it's quite confidence inspiring, especially if you want to do a quick overtake maneuver. Instantly all your power is there, you're not waiting for it to spool up. Economy is an interesting one with this car, because when I bought this, I actually bought it with the intention of giving it to the other half. She only does say a maximum 10-mile commute to her job from where we are, Burnham-on-Sea area, to Weston-super-Mare, and I thought, well, this would be the perfect car. Charge it up every night. It has only got a range of about 60 or 70 miles, but she'll no problem manage to do her commute and have some left over with that. And of course, it's electric, so it must be incredibly cheap. When you actually do the figures and realize what we're actually paying for electricity these days, it's the equivalent of having a petrol car that does 40 miles per gallon. It's actually not that good. You could have a little smart car that would do 60. Her previous car was a Mercedes A180D, the little 1.5 Renault engine that did like 80 miles per gallon. So it's not actually that much cheaper to run, if at all. In fact, it's probably more. I guess it's convenient that you don't have to visit a petrol station. So if you have a petrol station phobia, then perhaps this car, or at least an EV, would suit you. But you will need to charge it every night regardless. So rather than having to go to the petrol station maybe once a week, you're going to have to plug this car in and charge it every day. Then if you're charging it from a 13 amp standard household plug, it will only charge up to about 80%, which would only give you around about 55 miles of range. And even then, that's a lie really. If you're driving in eco mode and you're really eking it out, you might get that, but just driving normally as you would, you're probably not going to get that. You might get 30 miles out of it. And be warned, if you do own a Leaf and you decide to run it down to completely empty, like my other half did, thinking that she could just eke out a journey, you may well kill the standard 12-volt battery that the car has. So in news to me, not only does this have a giant lithium battery to give it its range, it also has a normal lead-acid 12-volt battery to do the basics of starting up, and without it, the car is useless. Turns out this is quite a common thing to go on these cars. They don't tend to get replaced, so we've had to replace one of those. Luckily it's not a stop-start battery or anything like that, so it's only about 50 quid. But still, when you haven't got one, you are completely stranded and you can't bump start this car. So it's even worse than having a petrol car that's got a flat battery. So I've got to say, despite this having a good quality battery, the way you tell with a first gen Nissan Leaf is on the right hand side there is a 12 bar gauge next to the fuel gauge, so which shows your charge. Next to that is the mileage that you have remaining. But that 12 bar gauge starts with 2 red ones and then 10 white ones, tells you the quality of your battery, almost how new your battery is and how much it is able to charge. Well, this I believe is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. It's a 10 bar Leaf. So people talk about it being a 10 bar, 11 bar, or whatever. This is 10 bar, so it's only 2 off of, it might even be 11. I'm trying to count while I'm driving. But it's a good battery, so it should still charge up very well. But I think it's just a trait of what these are like. They don't do huge range. It takes ages to charge one up. If you get caught out and you want to go to a speed charger, you know, I thought I wasn't quite going to make it to work one morning in this, and I stopped in our local Tesco, put it on the speed charger, I set up the app that I needed to get, I registered with the charging people, I connected my cable up, I bought my £5 credit, which I'll probably never use, and put it on charge for half an hour while I walked around the shop. Thought I'd get some lunch and maybe some baked goods and donuts and whatever for the guys at work, and you come back out and it had given me an extra 2 or 3 miles range, which is incredibly frustrating when I could just go to a petrol station and in a matter of a minute I could have put a full tank in and I could do, what, 300-400 miles. Controversially though, I do really like the Leaf. I think it's a really quirky, fun car, and it's my first experience of a EV car to own. I've driven Teslas, etc., but to actually own a car and use it and try to use it day to day, it's the first one I've ever had. So for that, it was incredible value. I think if you know that you only pop into your local town or you have a very short commute every day and you don't do a lot of other traveling, it could suit you really well. It could plug in at work, it could plug in at home, and it might save you some hassle. Other than that, it's an incredibly practical car. It's got plenty of space in here, it's comfortable, it's got all the features you could want really. So it covers all of those bases. I just don't think you can have it as your everyday car, because imagine the one time I needed to pop up to Bristol from here or something and it's 40 miles. Well, this would barely make it there, and then what? I'd sit around and let it charge for 4 hours before I could come back. I just don't think I'd have the patience for it. I don't love the planet that much, and I don't really believe that it's helping the planet that much. I think it's a great little car. I think they've done well to make it for the price that they have. Like I say, you could pick one of these up for £4,000 or £5,000 and have an EV car. It's great if you've got somewhere to charge it. It's great if you've only got short journeys. But other than that, it could be a bit of a nuisance. And you could find yourself, like I have, suffering from charge anxiety, where, like that day on my journey into work where I knew the range was getting low, like what's it going to do? Is it just going to conk out? You can't just bring a jerry can to this out if you're stopped on a roundabout and get it going again. I'm not even sure you can push them, put them into neutral. There may be a way, but I don't know. So it is kind of nerve-wracking if you've gone beyond your normal realms of your journey and you think you might run out of charge. It doesn't make motoring that pleasant, to be honest. It is also quite novel pulling away from junctions silently, other from a whir from the electric motor. I think this Leaf is a little bit far from being the answer to our climate change issues. I'd like to try some more modern EVs with a greater kilowatt battery, longer range. I feel like I could drive an electric car as my commuter to and from. If it's not this, it's something diesel. I just want something practical, cheap to run. I kind of resent spending lots of money on stuff. I love having big engine cars and turning money into noise, but I don't want to do it all the time just for the sake of commuting. So an electric car could suit me, but it just wouldn't be this one. I'd just constantly be stressed about getting it charged, and then every day getting it to work and finding a place to park it and charge it in. So with the way fuel prices are going at the moment as well, I think it's not the day for EVs, and I have a feeling I will be sat looking at this one for a little while until things settle down. There's a bit more confidence in electric vehicles again, which perhaps there just isn't at the moment. So who knows? When this sells, I will try and do a little update and let you know, but it could be here for a little while. In the meanwhile, I'm using it to run around and do errands because it's free to tax, and it's always got some range so long as we've plugged it in. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope it's been slightly informative. If you enjoyed it, please do give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe. It's free to do. It really helps me out. And other than that, I will see you next time.